Welcome back. Addressing the Sustainable Development Forum on the sidelines of the 74th session of the United Nations General Assembly, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi stressed on Wednesday that current challenges require collective efforts due to their impact and effects. The President said Egypt has initiated a comprehensive plan to achieve Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, based on its ambitious economic reform program. The head of state noted that the path of realizing the development sought by all countries is still long, calling on intensifying efforts to fund sustainable development. He reiterated that SDGs are considered amongst the most significant achievements of international developmental cooperation and a main cornerstone of multilateral efforts. The President noted that the last few years witnessed major achievements contributing to the promotion of the concept, and stressed the importance of collective efforts based on new and serious partnerships at all levels, since the world is bound by joint destiny.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. السيدات والسادة رؤساء الدول والحكومات.
Prime Ministers, heads of state, it gives me great pleasure to be present among you today in order to compare notes and exchange views 4 years into the adoption of the global adoption of the global agenda on SDGs, which is a milestone in multilateral international action. Undoubtedly, recent years have been witnessing new approaches and new accomplishments which have contributed to the improving development. But however, we will still have a long way to go. Economic as well as social challenges, security challenges, contemporary social challenges, security challenges have been interlinked with each other, have been overlapping, greatly enhancing the unity of our destiny, as well as the need to more earnestly network with each other. Hence, SDGs have to be followed along the following itineraries or paths. Political commitment has to be adhered to in all partners, as well as international and regional organizations, as to this important issue, as well as rallying support in order to achieve the targeted figures according to national priorities. Number 2, doubling efforts in order to provide finance by making the international climate conducive to more flow of international cash in a way that in tandem with the aspiration without political conditions or imposing certain models of economic or political development. Number 3, all strategies and approaches having to do with expediting development have to be done more expediently in order to link science and technology on the one hand and development on the other one. Mr. Chair, accordingly, sustainable development has been placed by Egypt on the priority list of Egypt. Egypt has been at the forefront of countries drawing up a strategy for achieving SDGs in order to implement SDGs for the United Nations by 2030, which is based on a motive, an engine, important engine, which is based on economic reform. Egypt has recently embarked on economic reform, which has been has been faring well, enhancing human rights for the public in Egypt in its broad sense. Egypt's efforts are also intended to empower women as well as youth, as well as improving healthcare and education, building our technological capacities, as well as upgrading the entirety of Egypt's economic situation in general, in order to achieve economic development. Of course, we haven't neglected environmental challenges, on top of which being the climate change. Mr. Chair, our African continent has, and Egypt is the chair of the current African Union, we have realized the importance of Africa's 2062 agenda. So we have been working hard with our African nations because we have a common destiny. Of course, Africa's development will positively impact on the global economy. Thank you so much.
Also on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly meetings, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met his Portuguese counterpart Marcelo de Sousa on Wednesday, where they discussed illegal immigration and the latest developments of the Libyan crisis. Presidential spokesperson Bassam Radi said the president praised the distinguished ties between the two nations, adding that Egypt looks forward to enhanced joint cooperation in various domains. The president also stressed keenness on fostering bilateral relations, especially in the fields of shipping, port administration and renewable energy, as well as tourism and investment. For his part, the Portuguese president voiced appreciation for Egypt's people and leadership, pointing to long-standing ties. He also expressed his country's desire to bolster coordination and consultations and hailed Cairo's role in maintaining stability in the Middle East. The president also met with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky at the UN headquarters on the sidelines of the General Assembly meetings. Presidential spokesman Bassam Radi said that during that meeting, the president expressed keenness to consolidate cooperation and consultations on the international front and called for boosting bilateral relations in various domains during the coming period. In light of Egypt's current chairmanship of the African Union, the president held 2 trilateral summits with his African counterparts aimed at resolving problems so as to normalize bilateral ties between neighbors and assert the significance of unifying African stands to support the African vision.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi participated in a trilateral summit in New York with Djibouti President Ismail Omar Guelleh and Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Bassam Radi said that the trilateral summit came within the framework of Egypt's presidency to the African Union and the distinguished ties binding Egypt with the two countries. During the meeting, the leaders discussed a number of regional issues of mutual concern and worked to reach convergence of views. The president also took part in the tripartite summit with Somali President Mohamed Abdullah Farmajo and Kenyan President. The summit came at the behest of both countries in the light of Egypt's current chairmanship of the African Union. Radi said that the summit discussed bilateral files between Somalia and Kenya to work on strengthening brotherly and good neighborly relations binding the two countries. The two African leaders reviewed their detailed visions concerning bilateral controversial issues. During the summit, an agreement was reached to form a Kenyan-Somali committee to work immediately on adopting measures for restoring confidence and resolving all problems to normalize bilateral ties.
Meanwhile, members of the Egyptian community in New York organized a rally to welcome the president in front of his residence. The expats were gathered to express appreciation for President al-Sisi's speech before the United Nations General Assembly and stress their support of the president, the state, and its institutions.